To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Taking a live look outside at the Disneyland Resort on this beautiful Saturday. It is Kingdom Report Live time. Hello, everybody. Wade Heath coming to you from beautiful Burbank, California, at the Warner Brothers Studios Media District, where we are coming at you with all the Disney Parks news and information and discussion topics that you need during quarantine. Hello, everyone. Special note, if you were watching us here a few minutes ago, we're kind of starting over. Had some technical glitches, and we're beginning again for those that couldn't be with us. But it's great to have you back and great to have you all joining us here today as we broadcast for you live around the country to our quarantined friends. Who's with me today? Well, from attractionfaction.net, it's Tyler Crouch and Katrina Manzone.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're staying healthy and happy.
Yes, I'm doing that from my house.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being quarantined and far, far away. And speaking of far, far away, even further, if you will, is Walt Disney World reporter Gared Hassel in quarantine.
How's it going, everyone? Top of the Mickey hat to you, or tip of the Mickey hat to you. Glad to be back with you again this week. Sorry I haven't been with you, but I'm here with you to stay. You can't get rid of me.
That's right. Yeah, he's like our own version of the plague. Here he is. Probably not an appropriate joke right now. And our dear friend, producer Curt, joining us behind the production dungeon walls.
Yes, exactly.
My goodness. Far enough away.
It's a little on fire back here right now, but other than that, we're good.
Yeah, save us, Curt. You're our only hope, as we like to say. Well, like I said, great to have you with us. Wonderful to be joining you, I should say, in quarantine. We have a lot to get to, a lot to discuss today. But as we kick things off, let's enjoy ourselves a little bit of magic via the Dapper Dans. As earlier this week, the Dapper Dans of Disney Parks came together to showcase a very special song to sort of lift our spirits during this trying time. Let's take a listen.
Hey everybody, some of the guys and I were thinking that since you can't make it out to Main Street USA to see us, we should use our voices from home to bring Main Street USA to all of you.
Yeah, talk about no request too extreme.
That's right. So from our home to yours.
When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you, If your heart is in your dream, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star as dreamers do, fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Thanks for letting us share truly one of our favorite songs of all time. Stay tuned for more to come. And now, before we go, we would all like to say, see you real soon. And until then, oh, we'll sing you a little song.
And it won't be very long. So long. So
Who doesn't love to be serenaded by the Dapper Dans of Disney parks? And I know that that's something that certainly will strike everybody in the heartstrings as they get to listen to that. What did you guys think? Nice to be surprised by the Dapper Dans, even if they're at home?
I got a little emotional thinking about it, like listening to it and stuff. I really loved it.
As George Clooney once said, I'm a Dapper Dan man.
He sure did.
For me, I love it. I don't get to see the Dapper Dans as much as I would like to, and for me, even though the Dapper Dans of Walt Disney World are phenomenal, the Dapper Dans of Disneyland just have something special about them. But the thing I want to note is the Dapper Dan that wore the red jacket and the bow tie and the hat, he didn't have to go that all out, but he did that, and it made it a little bit more special. And I love the handlebar mustache. Man, I could never grow that. So
no,
I'm glad that I can see someone that can.
No, it's good to have very unique styles from all of them, and wonderful to have them joining us, even if it is work at home Dapper Dan style. Speaking about Disney parks from coast to coast, as of right now, the Walt Disney Company has finally come forward. As of yesterday, being Friday, they did come forward with an announcement after waiting a little while as we sort of get closer and closer to this deadline that basically said they were going to reassess and tell us what they were going to do in terms of reopening. The original deadline was, April 1st. April 1st was, or March 31st, I should say, was going to be sort of that final line in the sand, and then they were going to reassess and tell us what was next. Well, yesterday, after markets closed, they did make an announcement, and it reads as follows. While there's still much uncertainty with respect to the impacts of COVID-19, the safety and well-being of our guests and employees remains the Walt Disney Company's top priority. And as a result of this unprecedented pandemic, and in line with direction provided by health experts and government officials, Disneyland Resort and Disney World Resort will remain closed until further notice. Walt Disney Company has been paying its cast members since the closure of the parks, and in light of this ongoing and increasingly complex crisis, we have made the decision to extend paying hourly Parks and Resorts cast members through April 18th. Certainly great news to hear that they will continue paying hourly cast members. Kind of sucks for those that are in tipped positions and only get paid minimum wage to begin with and really do rely on their tips for, their income. This is also something that a lot of our salaried friends that work at Disney Parks and Resorts, they're in limbo at the moment. They don't know where their next paycheck is coming from because you'll notice it specifically said hourly in there, which is fantastic because that's the bulk of the cast member ranks. But there are thousands of salaried people that don't know where their next check is coming from. It's been run up the flagpole several times, according to many of my salaried sources, and each one of them has said they're not getting an answer. And after next week, after the cutoff, the original cutoff, they don't know if they're getting a paycheck. They don't know if they're getting furloughed. They don't know what's happening. So I turn it over to you guys. When it comes down to it, and each cast member getting paid, with the exception of, say, the salaried side, how long do you think this gravy train's going to run? I mean, they say through April 18th. Do you think that's it?
I think it'll probably be cut off sooner rather than later, to be quite honest with you. I think we've got a couple weeks or maybe the end of April tops, and I just don't think they're going to continue to pay people. This is something that is just a crazy time. We've obviously never gone through anything like this before, and even though they've got billions of dollars, I don't know, companies still need to exist when this is all over, and they can't do that if they're just kind of shoveling all their money. And granted, it's probably the most important thing to shovel money at, but when they're not getting a return on that, money investment, they can't do that forever for obvious reasons. This is, it's going to end, and it's going to be sad, but at least they've been paid this long. I don't know what else to say about that.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a rough road for everyone, I think.
Yeah, a lot of companies don't even have that luxury to pay people this long. You're right. They've been very successful. The Disney company has, and certainly with that sort of additional revenue line that they've been enjoying for the last 10 to 15 years or so, where unprecedented amounts of income and revenue have just come streaming into Disney, mainly via the parks. The parks have always been that cushion for the company. For them to be able to do this is, I think, fantastic, and shouldn't be overlooked. We're talking about like, oh, well, when's it going to end? Everybody should be grateful that they're continuing to pay people to really do nothing at the moment. Disneyland alone, by the way, Orange County Register estimates that Disneyland is paying, just in this 2-week period, $59 million during the coronavirus closure. And that's just Disneyland. That's 30,000 cast members. Walt Disney World has something upwards of 70,000 plus. So all those people getting paid really to just wait this out. Very generous of the company. But at the same time, guys, I feel like I haven't heard much in terms of next steps, in terms of what's going on. And I understand this whole thing, the coronavirus and everything, it's all unprecedented. It's all very fluid and changes day to day. But this sure seems like an opportunity for somebody like a Bob Iger or like a Bob Chapek, the CEO, to step forward and kind of take a leadership role and be the face of the company at this point. It feels like that could really be a benefit, especially for a cast member base that's so big, that's very worried right now.
I think actually you're 100% right. And I think that it's actually kind of lame the more I think about it, that they kind of keep addressing basically the public before they're even addressing the cast members. They're kind of just saying, they're putting out that little blue sheet that you saw, a couple minutes ago, on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And that's how people are figuring this out. Like, yep. And these people should be in communications with their leader, like you said. And it is actually kind of disheartening that they're not coming out and trying to support their cast members in that way. I think I guess it would probably be confusing right now, right? Because if Chapek is actually supposed to be in charge, but Iger is the one talking to everybody, then, it makes Chapek look bad. But does anybody really want Chapek talking to them? So
I think they just want like control, right? So if they gave everybody like a 24-hour notice before they actually told the public, those people are just going to try to sell it or something to the news saying like, I have insider knowledge or whatever of this, or, start sharing it when Disney wants that control so they know what's going to happen. I feel bad for the employees to find out this way. And they're like, oh, hey, like they can't even send me like a 15-minute warning of like an email right before they send it out to everybody. At least give them like a little bit of, being the first ones kind of to know and then sending it out to social media. But
I think that, if that's really, I think you're right. They are afraid of that, but also for them to put in the front of their message that the safety and the cast members are their number one, priority. That's not true. I hate to say it, but it's just not true right now. So it's a high priority, but their priority is keeping this company in line. They want to make sure this company is still here tomorrow. And so they are not going to do those things that we want them to do, unfortunately. But again, I don't want to hate on them too much because they are doing mostly the right thing in that they are still continuing to pay their people for now. But again, it's just something that you can't do for it. Money just doesn't come out of nowhere, and they have to make sure that they're here tomorrow. And it's not as easy as just being like, well, they got billions of dollars. They could easily be bought by someone, a hostile takeover type of thing if they lost enough money.
Right. Stock keeps dropping, and they continue to be more and more susceptible to something like that. Hard to even think and wrap your head around something like that at this point, just because Disney has been on top of the world lately. Certainly doing the right thing. You're right in continuing to pay people, and as I mentioned, it's a tremendous, I think, gift to be able to be a stable enough company to be able to pay people in mass like this and continue to do it well into the next month. Just get very concerned as to what the future looks like. A lot of salaried people right now very worried about what their future is and if they have one. I definitely think that when it comes to hourly, you probably won't see too many layoffs. You'll see more of them keeping people on staff, but not necessarily scheduling them. That's kind of the Disney way, so that it doesn't look as bad. But a couple weeks ago, we witnessed the sort of mass layoff of a Disney college program, and they ended that college program early and just kind of said, hey, 2,000 plus cast members, get out of Disney housing, move along, and maybe we'll consider bringing you back at some point, but as of right now, your program's over, we don't need your help. And I know that shook the College Program Foundation to its roots.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
It's devastating, but again, I feel like it's easy for them to cut the cord because they don't have any ties to those people that they brought in from the Disney, like the college program. And then now they're trying to like, I just can't even, I'm like getting emotional thinking about all these people like losing their job or losing the potential of having like a career at Disney, and they're so excited about it. But I think that's why Disney's kind of staying far away from their cast members. And like, I'm going to bring it back to like that message. If I was like the CEO or something, I would want to do like a personal message and like send it out to all the cast members so that when they get the email, they can open it and see my face and tell them everything's going to be fine.
Right.
But I think they're trying to stay away and distance themselves away from like that. And they're like having like maybe like the managers and stuff trying to keep in contact with like the hourly and stuff. But
sure.
And then the salary, I mean, they're probably going to be the ones to go first because
yeah,
most
there's
likely.
There's
but
no way to keep them.
when they first got rid of the college program people, I honestly thought it was a mistake to tell everybody to send people home and get out of here and get on an airplane and all that stuff. But the more that I really thought about it, and obviously things have been changing every day, and I think you've got 4 people living in a room. And I think it was actually the smart choice to get them all out of that dorm. And it's, I don't want to have like a massive dour note on this podcast, but I just learned this morning that I lost an old coworker, friend of mine, who was just the greatest guy on earth. He was so friendly, super nice, just always made work easy. Just every single thing you could think about somebody that is good and nice. This man his name was Scott Blanks, and he was 36 years old, and he's gone now. So, he died from coronavirus, and this is like what we have to do. Unfortunately, we have to keep each other safe, and sending people home, it sucks, but at least you're safe. I don't know what else to say. You're safe. That's what's most important.
The way they did it so abrupt was really hard. I like to hear, but in the end, it was the right choice that they had to get everybody out.
You bet. And a lot of our love and prayers to you, Tyler, is certainly this is the reality of what everyone is facing at the moment. And, your friend being in the younger demographic, the demographic that originally it was said, this probably won't affect too many people under a certain age. Well, it's proving to be true where it is, in fact, affecting people at all ages. And some people have only minor symptoms, and some people pay the ultimate price when it comes to this non-discriminatory virus that continues to sort of rage around the world. And Gared, let's bring you in here, as somebody that, comes from Walt Disney World and this environment, even people that were with the college program that were ushered out. And with that in mind, I mean, was there any glimmer of hope that you heard in terms of the company saying, hey, we might be able to bring you back? I mean, were they told by their leaders? Do you hear anything like that?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be at Magic Kingdom on its last day, and out there we got to see Josh D'Amaro out there on Main Street waving at everyone, and it was very heartfelt, and it was nice to see some form of Disney leadership there, especially the president of Walt Disney World. He was there waving at everyone, and apparently after he waved and the park officially closed, he went off to the side and spoke to some college program people and said that we're going to come back from this. We're going to be better. We're going to come back stronger, and that you will have a chance to come back. But he, of course, didn't say when, because you don't want to give out empty promises or false promises. So one of Ariel's friends, she was a college program member and was working hospitality at one of the resorts. And
Ariel being your girlfriend.
Yes, Ariel being my girlfriend, not the Little Mermaid. But her friend was pretty much told, like, like your shift is over, and she was hoping to go part-time seasonal, something like that, in the hopes of one day becoming a general manager of her resort. And it's very sad because I have like the Walt Disney World apartment finder thing, just because that's what I used when I worked for the company. And everyone's like, hi, I just need a room for a short amount of time. Hi, I need a room. Hi, I need a room. Hi, I need a room. And it was sad to see, just because you have all these people that have invested so much time out here, because a lot of people assume that, like, oh, you're in the college program, you have money to take time off of school. But that's not the truth. Honestly, the truth is, many of the cast members or many of the college program kids, they don't always have a place to go back to, and Disney is their salvation, where many of them have been either they come from a rough background or their family has abandoned them. I knew a few that said that because of your sexuality, you cannot come back home. And so for many of those people, they came to Disney because Disney is welcoming to all. And now you're being told, we can't have you here. And at first it's very sad, but then you understand it's better to have them go and find some place to be safe rather than abruptly being like, or keeping them there, risking their health. But going back to the original question, there is a light that Josh spoke of, the president of Walt Disney World, and he said that they will reopen. The college program will come back. He did not say when, but it will come back, because at the end of it, the college program, it is the cheapest labor that Disney can get. You get kids that are eager to want to create magic, and it also opens doors into their future, whether it is doing a professional internship with them, or even going up and climbing the ranks, or just staying with Disney. The college program is not just this one-stop shop. There are many avenues you can go. From that, I've met many of my closest best friends, and when I go to a job interview in Orlando and they see, oh, I've worked for Disney, that typically opens the door for me, because they say, oh, you've worked for the largest entertainment company in the world. So it's very sad to what's happening, but there is a light. There's always light. It's just time is the ultimate factor right now. And ultimately, the college program is going to be the last thing to get touched on before they come back. I believe what will happen is, I'm glad that they're paying people, but what's going to ultimately happen is they're probably, to save money, going to have to cut the part-time and the seasonal. They're gone. And then when the parks reopen, they're going to run with the skeleton crew, and much of entertainment is going to be zapped. And they're going to be running at a very slow pace just to try and make some revenue before they can go all out again. That's just what I see and what I've possibly heard from people that I've talked to.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I think you're probably spot on with all of those predictions, all of those possibilities. And something that back here at Disneyland, a lot of cast members were concerned about as we sort of approached the deadline of Disney reassessing and talking about potentially reopening, that 2-week deadline that they had set March 31st. As they were approaching this date, obviously it's only a few days away, the local 50 union here at the Disneyland Resort sent a strongly worded letter to the company, basically saying, we appreciate the fact that you've been paying us for 2 weeks, but now we're closing in on that deadline that you had set for yourself, and we don't know if we have jobs. We don't know if we're going to continue to get paid. Nobody's getting scheduled. And the local 50 union basically reached out and said, we'd like to set a deadline for you to get back to us and be a little bit more transparent as to what you're going to do, Disney. Disney did respond, like I said, yesterday, and they did that right at the close of markets for the Dow Jones. And I know that yesterday the deadline that Local 50 had set for them was by 3 p.m. So they met the deadline, and they came through and sort of advised them that, if you're hourly, you're going to be paid until April the 18th. And as we'd mentioned, if you're salaried and beyond, it's really up in the air as to whether or not you even are going to get paid or have a job much longer, which is terrifying to think about for all those individuals that are currently in those seats. Something else that I want to touch on, guys, is this rumor that potentially California Adventures Food and Wine Festival, which had only just begun before all this sort of hit the fan, may be extended, and it might be extended out through summertime. Is that something you would like to see? I know a lot of those Sip and Savor passes got sold right up front that nobody got to use.
I hope it comes back. I mean, we only got to try it the day before they closed Disneyland. We went to an event really quick, tiki mixology event, and we got to try a couple of food items, and we kind of wanted to try more. So I'm excited to try a little bit more that we weren't able to touch on.
Yeah, I hope it sticks around. I mean, it would be a really big loss, not just for, you know, all the guests, but for Disney too, if they just spent all this time and energy, you know, creating these menu items and events and things like that, and then it's all gone. So
it may be a little hard to like try to reschedule the chefs and stuff when they do the what is it called, like the hands-on kind of thing with some of the chefs, like for the
demonstrations.
The demonstrations. Thank you. And so that might be a little hard, but there's always other chefs that they can try to get instead and try to still do the like mixology events. Like I would go again. It was super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, to only have was that 2 weeks, I guess, of time, less than 2 weeks to really get the selections out there and get the offerings presented to the visiting public before they had to shut down. Kind of sucks. I mean, I get it. You know, this is the least of anybody's worries right now, but it would be nice to see on the other side of this pandemic. Perhaps the Food and Wine Festival does stick around. It's a great cash cow for the company too, and right now, as they're hemorrhaging cash, this could only be helpful to keep around after they return. And I know that you know, certainly a lot of questions will probably be brought into being as they approach the food and wine festivals from now on, when it comes to sanitation and when it comes to being clean in the parks, and you know, sort of what that looks like on the other side. I know we've talked about this previously on the broadcast where we've discussed, you know, what will the park experience look like after this, and I think that food and wine festivals are definitely, or food festivals entirely, are going to be sort of reevaluated in not only how they are presented, but probably how guests are able to receive them. Do you think that there might be some validity to that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've been doing a pretty good job actually, but I didn't really feel like it was lacking in a way. I mean, I think, I guess I could say that, you know, I mean, this year in particular too, they have a new type of utensil dispenser where you don't even have to touch, like you used to touch the little button that every single other person touched, and then you picked up your, you know, spoon from the trough of other spoons that people left behind.
Or you get the kid that likes to just press the button and then they waste like 14 forks and no one's gonna just grab a fork out of the bin. They would get a new one.
So this year they actually had, you know, new utensil dispensers that you just pulled the end of a fork or whatever, and the fork would come out, and, you know, and so I could see them getting more in that vein, or just trying to figure out how that we can touch each other less, or have, you know, sanitation areas around, you know what I mean? Like when you're passing things, you know, you're passing a credit card to somebody, or, you know, all these things, they really need to get their credit card system like figured out too, with the whole swipe, like you have to swipe on some of them, but some of them, you know,
one has a chip,
works.
one doesn't.
Like, yeah, like just let me use Apple Pay. Let me put the chip in. I don't want to touch your hand. I don't want the person, you know, if like, especially at a place like Bengal Barbecue,
right?
The people that are working the cash registers are the people that also bring you the food. So they're not washing their hands every time they're touching somebody's credit card and somebody's money and stuff like that. I guarantee it. I've never seen them wash their hands. So, you know, the less that they have to do with the things that I'm handing them, the better. So
you got that right. Keep it clean out there. Purell it up. Hey, so we jump from one coast to the other, and now out at the Magic Kingdom, it does sound like permits have been filed for Stitch's Great Escape demolition in Tomorrowland. What a big deal this is, especially because the rumored replacement for it is something Wreck-It Ralph related. You know, Gared, Tyler, Katrina, you guys pumped about this? I mean, Stitch's Great Escape has been kind of shuttered for the last few years, used only really as a character meet and greet on even the busiest of days. Otherwise, the ride itself just hasn't been something that's been operating. You pumped about this?
I truly am. I only got to go on Stitch's Great Escape once, and I thought it was really cool. I heard before it where it was like alien encounter. I heard that was absolutely terrifying, and I wish I could.
It was really cool.
That.
It was really awesome, actually.
Oh, but I'm all for what?
You just were like, oh, that's all.
But I'm looking forward to there being a new attraction because Stitch, while he is cool, Wreck-It Ralph is sort of in the mainstream right now, and the way Wreck-It Ralph 2 ended, or Ralph Breaks the Internet, it left it open to where you can go further into internet and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to what that's going to possibly look like. The way the ride is set up, if you don't know, it's where you all are in a circle in multiple tiers, and in the middle is where the action happens, where it's Stitch or an alien or whatever, and you're sort of strapped in. So I'm wondering, what are they going to do with that?
Going in the internet.
Yeah.
But I wonder what is going to be in that tube. Is Ralph going to be in the tube, or is Ralph? If there's an animatronic Ralph, that'll be pretty cool, honestly.
They definitely should do a Vanellope out at AA, but I know that the rumor that we're talking about kind of was saying that they're probably going to use the same space, really, but I just can't imagine that being the case. I think they're going to rip that thing apart, especially if they had to file like permits to be, to demolish things. I just can't imagine it's going to be like that similar of a setup, but. Tomorrowland, video games. That's how Tomorrowland works, I guess. I don't know. I think that Wreck-It Ralph is kind of a strange fit for Tomorrowland, but I guess there's been, Monsters Laugh Floor and stuff there too, so it's not like they really care that much about the theme anymore. I just call it like I see it, Gared. But
you're right.
I'm right. Thank you. But Wreck-It Ralph, it's cool. I'm excited for it. I hope this is like a fun interactive game unlike Smuggler's Run. I'm going to throw every Disney thing I can think of under the bus.
Wow. Look at this guy.
And,
Tyrant Tyler is back.
Listen, I'm not in a good mood today, so I got to get it out of me. But
I gotta take him for a walk later.
Yeah, no kidding. Put him on the leash and drag him down the street. That's right.
But anyway, I don't know. I'm excited for it, and I think it could be a lot of fun. Gared has a question.
Oh no! I'm scratching my head, and then I thought of something. Have any of you out there been able to do the Void at either Disney Springs or Downtown Disney?
Yes.
I'm wondering I think it would be cool if you could do some sort of like VR virtual reality. Granted, that cheapens everything Disney does.
First of all, I don't think they could ever do it on the level that they need to. I don't think they could get capacity there. And then second of all, coronavirus just happened. So if that's really what's
People
on,
don't want to share stuff.
If that's really what's on the docket right now, then I believe they're going to change their mind.
I'm just wondering, because the queue starts off with you getting introduced to, like the Stitch one was introduced to aliens going off to prison, and then you go and then Stitch is in there and he's spitting on people, which was weird but cool at the same time because you got blasted. But I'm wondering what this thing could truly look like, because you're stationary, your seat may rock back and forth and bump up and down, but you can only do so much. I think it'd be cool if they did what Disneyland did back in the day, where it's like Mission to the Moon or whatever, where you were like in a rocket ship blasting off to the moon
with Ralph.
That would be cool with Ralph, but no, not with Ralph. I just wish Tomorrowland would sort of go back to its roots. Like Buzz Lightyear makes sense, even though he's a toy. People Mover, I guess that's futuristic, but there's not much of a listen, those cars, they run on a robotic track. I want floating cars, Disney. I want that technology. But
a floating thing, and they changed it and they ripped it out and made it a Luigi's Rollickin' Roaster.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a car, but yeah.
No more
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I mean,
but
any further quarantining of us as we continue to eat all of our supplies and just order in and lay there. Soon we can have an attraction like Wall-E, and we will all be floating around on our chairs with our little sipper cups, just with our little screens in front of us.
Wall-E attraction would be amazing. Can we have a Wall-E attraction?
Yeah, I would. Wall-E's my favorite.
They should have done that instead of Wreck-It Ralph, because that's futuristic.
Yeah,
this is true.
Tomorrowland-ish.
It doesn't pull in, Wreck-It Ralph is hot. So people like Ralph. I get it. I like Ralph. I didn't love the second movie as much as I like the first one, but it's cute. But yeah, I'm not going to do a whole thing about Wreck-It Ralph or, Ralph Breaks the Internet right now, but I just feel like I wish it fit better, because to me, it's like Tomorrowland doesn't mean anything anymore, really. That's my main problem with it. And I also hope that this isn't just like an interactive, show that you watch. Like, I really hope it's not like, and now you all get a controller in front of you and, oh gosh, we're in trouble, press left as fast as you can, and everybody in the audience tries to press left. I hope it's not like Mission Space or whatever. I really hope anyway, that's all I got for
yeah, it'll be great to have something in that space that works finally. After all these reskins and these repurposing of attractions, trying to make that space something people need to go see, just hasn't worked out all that well. And it would be nice to, if this demolition really does, overhaul the entire space, then, we might be in for a treat. Otherwise, I think we might just have a simple reskin and we're right back to where we started, just with a different theme. So, yes, Gared.
I was going to say sorry, I feel like I have to raise my hand here sometimes, but if they gutted a good portion of Tomorrowland, like you get rid of the Merchant of Venus, you get rid of maybe a little bit of Cosmic Rays, and just like the shops on that section, and you pretty much take out the walls, you could easily make a very simple classic Disney dark ride such as Snow White's Scary Adventure or Peter Pan. You could easily get something in there that's cute and simple, maybe add some new show elements like rotating cars or something.
I see in the production dungeon, producer Curt is shaking his head.
No, you can't get rid of Cosmic Rays. How dare you, Cosmic Rays? No.
Dude, it's not that good.
It's amazing. Don't give me that. No, I'm cutting your mic right now.
Wow.
What do you expect Sonny Eclipse to go do, Gared? Really?
What's he supposed to do?
For 6 months, he didn't even work.
I think he should have his own ride.
Oh,
okay with that.
I would love that. I would go on that.
I want a Sonny Eclipse ride. That might have been the best thing you've ever said.
You know what? I think you are onto something, Katrina.
On this.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, that about wraps up the headlines for this week. Disney Parks closed indefinitely for the time being. We will continue to monitor that situation. Obviously, as the pandemic rages on and things continue to change day to day, that will obviously impact the reopening timeline for Disney Parks. Just keep in mind, if you're somebody that has trips scheduled 2 months out from this point, hang in there. Probably don't cancel. Probably don't go calling. Hang in there. Wait for it. See what happens, because really, day to day, things keep changing. So 2 weeks ago, we would have never guessed we would be in this spot. And who knows? 2 weeks from now, things might be radically different across the country. You just have no idea. So hang in there. Hold on to your reservations. I have a trip scheduled in May. I'm hanging on to mine. I don't plan on canceling it. Even as we, make our way through April, I'm still going to hang on to it. So at any rate, that about wraps up the headlines for this week. It's time for the Disney List. Disney List time is here, and this week we are talking about the things we love the most when it comes to Fantasyland at Disneyland Park. Yeah, heart of it all type place in terms of Disneyland Park itself, and certainly a land that is just so chock full of charm that I think it's well worth its own segment, well worth talking about. Katrina Manzone, Tyler Crouch, Gared Hassel here with me to discuss everything Fantasyland at Disneyland Park related. Guys, when it comes to this land, what do you love the most? What are some of the things that stand out to you?
I'll let Katrina start.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you. So, are we talking about both Fantasylands or just like Disneyland?
Just Disneyland.
Just Disneyland. Okay.
Are we doing a
My
1, 2, or
favorite
3, or are we
part-
just doing a 1?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but go ahead.
Are we doing like a top 3, or are we just doing like our all-time favorite thing?
Like give me what comes to mind in terms of top 3.
Okay, like my number 3.
I thought Katrina was starting, but you go for it.
Well, you didn't state the rules.
He literally hijacked it.
You said Katrina go, and then you start asking questions, and then you take go. What is happening? This is why you're usually in the field, and we only cut to you when we need to, buddy. Because look at you, just hijack this entire thing and ruin poor Katrina's time. Oh.
Listen, look at me. I'm the captain now.
You are the captain now. Yeah, go for it. What do you love about Fantasyland?
Since you are the referee in this, are we doing like what's our favorite thing about it? Or are we doing like our top 3 favorite things?
Top 3, Gared, go.
I don't want to do it now. Okay, here we go. All right. My number 3 is going to be the Wishing Well. I absolutely love it. It's cute, it's whimsical, and sometimes you get characters by there, and at night the little fountain comes to life and does like a little show. It makes you feel good. It's romantic. It's a cute area.
Sweet Snow
definitely
White.
Take your partner there. My number 2 is I just really enjoy the atmosphere because you feel like you're in a little village. You walk around, you feel very peaceful and it's just relaxing. You feel like you can do anything. That's what fantasy is all about. But the number one best thing about it, Storybook Land Canals. You can't beat that thing. That thing is so fun to go on. I recommend going on it in the evening, of course, because it's just, you see it all lit up. It's nice and romantic. Sometimes you get some fireworks, but Storybook Land Canals is just the best part about it because it's a whimsical, fun area, and there's no other ride or attraction or experience quite like that at any of the Disney parks. Like, you have Kilimanjaro safaris, and elephant's great. I want to look at where Peter Pan landed with a giant duck next to that small little statue. That's what I want to look at.
Definitely one of the most underrated of all the attractions, Storybook Land Canal Boats. One of my favorites, too, and I think doesn't get enough high play when it comes to people's lists of things that they like the most about Disneyland Park. I think it's easily forgotten about. Katrina, we will go to you next. You deserve this time. What do you like about Fantasyland at Disneyland?
Well, so my number 3 is like the Evil Queen up at the top above Snow White's Scary Adventure, peering down. I know Gared took my first one, and I was like, so that's one of mine. And then the number 2 is just like the little effects that they have throughout Fantasyland you have to watch for. So like Monstro and his eye that moves, it's just magical. And sometimes you don't really know that actually happens. And like little kids sometimes pick it up really quickly. And I just love that just like magical feeling of Fantasyland. And then 3 is kind of what Gared said, is the characters. I love when characters are roaming around. It kind of brings it to life. And I love when the Evil Queen, she like lurks around like the shadows over by the wishing well. And so she likes to scare people when they kind of like walk by not expecting it. And then I love how she like throws her like her dress and her cape kind of thing to scare people.
All
and
ominous.
Then the fairy godmother kind of like prances in and just like tries to make everything better. And everything just seems so magical and fluid that you just kind of forget where, like your normal troubles and worries, and you're kind of like in Fantasyland. That was my favorite place to be when I was a kid.
Yeah, this land really packs a punch for how small the geographical area is. There's so much happening in Fantasyland at Disneyland. Like, you walk through there, and lately, just before the parks closed, King Arthur Carousel in the middle of the land was under refurbishment, as well as Snow White, but that's in the middle of the land, and there were walls that extended out, and that's created such a choke point when it came to King Arthur's Carousel and those walkways, and you start to realize just how much there is to do as you go through the land, and there's all these different doors to all these different attractions and all these different stores and these little walkways and nooks. Tyler, what's on your list?
Well, I definitely had the Evil Queen, but I've got more. There's plenty of good stuff in Fantasyland. I do love the Evil Queen though. Like, and every little kid, you can point to her, and she comes out of the window. And yeah, I did the Disney point. I hope you enjoyed that.
Appreciate that.
And every kid, myself included, you're just always like, wow, like looking up at her. It's kind of creepy, but kind of cool at the same time. I really like that. And then, of course, to add on to her, you can go and touch the little golden apple down underneath her window, and something fun happens. If you haven't seen it, go, next time when Disneyland opens, go over and get some Purell on, and then touch the the apple,
and then put more
Purell. Yes,
right.
But besides the Evil Queen, I also love Casey Jr. Casey Jr.'s train is like, for some reason it takes you kind of in the same area that the Storybook Canal does, but I kind of like it more for some reason. I guess because you're getting kind of like a higher up.
You're elevated, right, over the land.
You get an elevated view of everything, and then especially, going along with what Gared said, ride it at night, because then you get, especially if you're riding in the caboose and you're riding backwards, because the caboose has seats that face backwards. That is such a cool place to sit, because you will start going up the lift hill, and there's just an amazing view of Sleeping Beauty Castle and the Matterhorn, and it really is one of those kind of views that you don't get to see very often, but it's still, really wonderful, especially at night when you go across the Storybook Canal kind of garden, and you have a really nice view of everybody walking by in Fantasyland. So just really fun to do that. And of course, you get off the ride and he says, "That's the end of the lion," and I laugh every time. And then I think my last one is going to be, because I'm just going to say the Evil Queen was one of them. My last one, I think, is going to be, honestly, just all of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Because, Toad has been kind of a forgotten Disney character at this point. Not many people give him much love. Like, he was in the same cartoon that the Headless Horseman was in, and you see everybody talking about the Headless Horseman every year. I don't get any love for Toad, but, it's just one of those things that is really goofy and really fun, and still kind of maintains that darkness that Disney's kind of a little bit too afraid to go to now.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you who decided it was a good idea to put hell in that ride, because that doesn't even exist in any of the Toad, cartoons. So it's just one of those things where it was like, why did this happen? But I don't know, but I love it. And when I was a kid, it blew my mind that the temperature changed when you went in there. And I loved the effect that they did with the train. The train kind of, the light just goes over your head, and they give you this effect that you got hit by a train, which is, so un-Disney at this point. I feel like they would never do anything like that again. But,
Spoilers.
I know, really. Sorry. Well, if you haven't been on it, then too bad. But it's every time I go to Disney World, I still get sad that they got rid of their version of that ride and just made it like a princess meet and greet, because I feel like they could have put that meet and greet in a lot of other places, to be honest with you. So, I get sad. At least you can go and find his grave over at the Haunted Mansion over there, if you know
That's
the
right
place to look in the Pet Cemetery. So, go and find Toad over there. That's how you can get closer to him. And those are my top three.
Well, I'll tell you, you mentioned the princess meet and greets. A couple years ago, the Fantasyland at Disneyland, the geographical space sort of expanded a little bit and grew outside of the castle off to sort of stage right. But if you're walking up to the castle, it's off to the left. You have a new sort of royal hall. It's not new anymore, I guess, but, it was new at the time, where it was a place where you could go meet princesses, and you still can. And then there's also a kind of a mini theater out there with Maurice's Treats right across the way, where you can watch different shows featuring different princesses throughout the day. And also, shout out to my PhotoPass family. Right next door, they've now moved into what used to be just a tiny shop right alongside the theater. Now they've taken over that shop for the most part and turned it into more of a photo studio for little princesses that go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And that extension really it happened so seamlessly. I mean, it was a corner of the park that really wasn't utilized anyway. Just off to the side of the castle. It was really only utilized on like Saturday nights. It was the Carnation dance floor, basically. Otherwise, the rest of the week, it was just quiet over there. It was just kind of a seating area, not really anything ever happened. Performing Arts, I think, utilized it for some visiting bands, but other than that, it was just sort of this quiet corner that they turned into a place that now pulls people in. Have you guys ever stopped by to see any of those shows under that awning?
Oh yeah, I used to love doing that, watching like the Tangled one and the Beauty and the Beast one. Those were like my two favorite.
Yeah, they did Frozen for a short time, and it was still pretty cool, but I have to agree that, like, for some reason, the Tangled and the Beauty and the Beast ones are just, honestly, they kind of bring you to that melodrama type of feel that has been kind of missing from American culture for the last, decade or something. It's been kind of getting snuffed out, I feel like. And it's just cool to see that kind of melodrama type of show where you have guys who are telling you the story, but then they're also playing characters in the story, and so they're actors playing actors playing characters. Like it's this weird layered thing And it's just a lot of fun. It really is. And they have they have a piano player, and the music is fantastic. So.
Yeah, it's a nice classic new addition to what was otherwise, sort of a enclosed Fantasyland for the most part, just behind the castle, and it's nice to have that come along. Producer Curt, when it comes to Fantasyland at Disneyland, anything that tops your list?
I have a couple of things. I like the one shop that always has Christmas decorations in it.
Oh yeah.
I like Christmas all year long, so just to go there and just see Christmas, in July, September, wherever, it's always fun. I love Mr. Toad's. I've mentioned that before. I go on that every single time. But
your wife driving all crazy,
exactly,
getting you guys sent to hell.
Exactly. But I also like the music from the carousel, the King Arthur's carousel, the little redoing and like fanfare. It really just puts you in the mood of Fantasyland.
Yeah.
And I feel like when it's out of construction, you don't have that. It doesn't have as much. I really just like that music. The ambience that it produces is really nice.
Elevates the whole experience. What a great point. You're absolutely right.
It really does. It brings it all together. And that's maybe kind of what's missing from Star Wars Land is music.
Are we gonna get into this again?
Everybody, calm down.
No.
I mentioned Star Wars Land. Good God, Galaxy's Edge. We put it to bed a long time ago. We've voiced our concerns. A lot of people agree with us on YouTube. Everybody, calm down.
Can I do an honorable mention?
Yeah, go for it.
The walkthrough, the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough in the
Very
castle.
special.
A lot of people don't really know about it if you've never been to Disneyland before.
Yeah.
And it is actually one of those really cool things to kind of just do something for 5 minutes, and then you just walk up the stairs and see the beautiful story of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah. Gared, did you have a question?
Yes. So I didn't. Sorry, I feel like I have to raise my hand. I'm the youngest one here. But
you can just speak if you want. I mean, it's.
Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Okay.
Listen, I can hear you. Hi.
Hi, Wade. Good
Go
to
for
see
it.
You. No, the question I have is, this goes out to everyone. It's a one or the other. Do you like Disneyland's Fantasyland more, or do you like Disney World's Fantasyland more, including new Fantasyland and Storybook Circus? Because for me, I will always take Disneyland just because the one at Disney World just feels very corporate.
Commercial?
It feels very corporate. Commercial, that's the word. Thank you, Katrina.
Yeah.
It
It's
feels
very
commercial.
corporate and very blah.
Yeah.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love Beast Castle. Beast Castle is really cool, and going to be our guest and stuff. But there's just that beautiful. I don't know.
I think
you're closer to Walt Disney at Disneyland. No matter what you do, it's just you just feel like it's just more antique, and it's the first.
I think we're in agreement. I think Disneyland is definitely the winner there. I mean, especially when you consider that middle courtyard in Fantasyland at Disney World is kind of just boring, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's really just a bunch of square buildings. Yeah, it's really stroller parking too. And, there's princesses on this side, and there's Mickey's PhilharMagic on that side. And it's kind of like, not to hate on PhilharMagic too much, because I do like it, but it just doesn't feel. You come into Disneyland's, you've got the carousel right in front of you. There's rides just stacked on top of each other on either side, and it just feels like there's so much going on there. When they really redid that, when they redid everything to change it from that medieval fair to what we have now, that was obviously probably the greatest thing they could have done for Fantasyland, because it really is beautiful.
I was going to say that, Tyler. As a matter of fact, I was going to mention, it's nice to have sort of our quaint European village at Disneyland of Fantasyland, and then you go out to Walt Disney World, and it's still sort of that medieval fair feeling. I do appreciate that Walt Disney World and the Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland. I love the fact that they have so much space to build, elaborate facades and everything, like back in the new Fantasyland section. To have Gaston's Tavern, I would kill for that here. That would be amazing to have here. To have Gaston more, centralized with his own location would be really cool to have that space. I appreciate all that space that they've added to Ariel and, Little Mermaid and all of that back there for the sake of sort of added capacity. And, it is captivating, especially with their castle being so grand. But I got to agree with everybody. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, I prefer Disneyland's Fantasyland too.
Yep.
Yeah. Before... Have any of you seen the photos of what Tokyo Disneyland is cooking up for their Fantasyland? Because I am absolutely blown away with it, where they have a full-scale Beast Castle with an attraction inside. They're going to have Gaston Tavern with the little village, and they're going to be having a separate land for Tangled, Frozen, and Peter Pan. Like Tokyo Disneyland just destroys the domestic parks. It is absolutely amazing. I would kill for that giant castle.
Just when you think they've run out of room. And even then, they'll bulldoze and build on top of. That's for sure.
Yeah, I want to go on that Beauty and the Beast ride. Seems very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to get myself over to Tokyo at some point and experience it all for myself. But at any rate, that wraps up our discussion for Fantasyland and our favorite things about it at Disneyland Park. You stick around. More Kingdom Report Live next.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. You are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
Do it or ditch it time has arrived. This is where we take a look at an attraction or experience in Disney parks from coast to coast, and we decide whether or not it's worth doing or giving up entirely. Today, it's all about Mission Space at EPCOT. Is it worth your vacation time? Guys, Tyler, Katrina, and Gared all joining us for this segment to talk about whether or not Mission Space is worth your time. I will say that we sent it on out to the Kingdom Report audience and said, what do you guys think? We took a poll, and they came back with these results. They said if Mission Space is worth their EPCOT vacation time, 63% said no, 37% said yes. So overwhelmingly, we have a big old no in terms of whether or not people sort of include this in their EPCOT day. Tyler and Katrina, I know, and we'll start with you, that you both recently experienced this for the first time on a trip. I don't know how that...
He's been on it before. I've never been on it.
So this is your first time. What did you think?
It was my first time because Curt was so persuasive and said I had to go ride it. I did not do orange though. I did like the green, right?
The lesser of the intensity.
I did the baby one.
Right.
I didn't like it. It was just it was okay. It was just like silly. I was like looking forward to it because I was like commander and I was like, yeah, and like,
I'm gonna command.
Like, ready. And then
doesn't mean anything.
Didn't mean anything. I was really sad.
I feel that if you are, I'm a no. I don't think you should spend any time at this attraction ever. But unless
ever,
what I was about to say is you are a thrill seeker. If you're a thrill seeker and you want to have like an extreme experience, bro, then you should maybe check this ride out because
and don't eat before.
And yeah, don't eat before. But
yeah, bro.
For me personally, I don't want to go on the orange side. I don't care. I don't need to be spun around in a circle. And on the green side, it's just boring. Mm-hmm. The green side is just a boring attraction. I mean, you watch a pre-show and then you sit down and like, yeah, Gared's doing the little movements right now. Like you just go back and forth and that's it. I mean, and then they say, hey, it's going to be interactive. And like the people that we were with were like getting all confused. Like, oh wait, so you're the commander? I'm the navigator? Like, and it was like this confusing thing for them. And I just wanted to shake them and be like, it means nothing. It means nothing. And they say, you know, okay, now everybody press left on the control stick at the same time, and then everybody does it. And I don't think there would be anything different if we didn't do it. I don't think those controls actually do anything.
Like Smuggler's Run.
Oh.
Well, I actually think Smuggler's Run is actually more into. I would say Smuggler's Run is a better ride than this ride, personally.
Interesting.
And that's saying a lot. But that's my takeaway. If you're a thrill enthusiast, go and check it out. But if you are not into the thrill rides, or if you don't care that much, there's so many better things to do in Walt Disney World, and especially at EPCOT. I mean, there's a whole world out there. Yeah. So
there's Mexico right around there. It's just go to Mexico and just stay there in the tequila area.
Right. Yeah, that's.
Get classy.
I'm going to say that's a journey to another planet all on its own. Stopping off there, and certainly mission space is something that has gone through a few revisions over time. Used to be sort of hosted by Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump, and has most recently, I think, about a year and a half ago, ended up getting replaced entirely with a whole new sort of re-theme for not only the Capcom and the video and the commanders and the people that sort of run your mission from the ground. And as we take a look at some of the video here of that pre-show, I mean, things have changed a little bit. Things have gotten different in terms of the overall mission. It used to be to Mars. Now, as I understand it, Greenside at least goes sort of as a shot across the planet Earth, a shot across the globe, so you get to see things just above Earth. So it's kind of like soaring over the world, if you will. But it is one of those things that has changed just a little bit over time. I know that this attraction has also been steeped in controversy as the more intense side, which used to be the only side that was available, the more intense experience. Well, people weren't heeding the warnings, and if they had, say perhaps high blood pressure, or they had issues with their heart or something like that, they weren't heeding the warnings, and some people were either getting off this attraction very sick and feeling very ill. Some people even passed away due to some accelerated feelings within them because of this attraction. And so it has gone through several revisions and definitely has a less intense side now. That is the side that I've always gone on because I can't handle a lot of G-forces. That kind of messes with me. So the green side, very casual, very easygoing, very simple. And I would say that the orange side, again, one that I haven't experienced, sounds like it's pretty darn intense. And Tyler, you mentioned Thrill Seeker there. Gared, have you ever been on the orange side?
So I've done every version of this attraction since 2014. I've done more intense training, orange, what it was before versus what it is now. And I've done both versions of the green, and the orange definitely can get intense. For me, it doesn't really bother me. I actually like to push my limits and see, because you're spinning so fast, gravity, it's creating more gravity force. That's what G-forces are. I try and lift my feet up as high as I can because gravity's pulling them down. And then I do the thing you're not supposed to do, which is I turn my head sideways, which then shows you how much force is going on that. But for me, it's a cool attraction, but it's not. I'm going to skip it.
It's called Ditch It. But so you're gonna ditch it?
Oh, I'm ditching it. I'm skipping it. I'm blocking it. I'm do it or skip it. I'm wondering general information. When did this attraction get built? Was this built in the early 2000s?
You think it was?
Yeah, as I understand it, This is an early 2000s attraction. Yes, this is something that replaced Horizons, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate.
No.
But
take a sip.
But now that sorry, I was just get caught up, stealing the show and everything.
Yeah.
Because this attraction was built in the early 2000s, I believe that was a time in Disney when people wanted that interactive aspect of an attraction. They wanted more interactive things. Well, now in the 2010s, we are in this new era, 2020s, we're in this new era where we want deep immersion, where we feel like we are in that world, such as that's why Rise of the Resistance is so popular. Mickey and Minnie's feels like so much is going on around you because you want this immersion. Well, back then it was like, oh, you want to be able to touch things. That's why Test Track was so cool, because you could touch the screens and design your own car.
Right.
But when I used to work at EPCOT, sometimes I would take either a van or a bus to get to my location, and you see how much room they have back there. I think what they need to do is tear it all up, design a new mission ride, and team up with SpaceX and Elon Musk, get him in there, and design something truly incredible. Because with the way space travel is going, we are eventually leading to living on the moon and landing on Mars. And I think that Disney needs to get with it. And it was great seeing Lieutenant Dan every day. And now it's Jessica Pearson from Suits. I don't know the actress's name, but I truly hope that they could turn this into something more, because there's a lot of land back there. They could easily turn it into what they're doing with the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction, where they're going to make it big, immersive, and truly make you feel like you're in that world. They could do so much with space travel. And whether it is with 3D goggles or just a launch type system, they could do a lot. I think the spinning thing, I think it's the cheap cop out. If you were just saying like you're going to go through astronaut training, that'd be one thing. But where like the graphics don't even look that good anymore. The graphics look dated. They look like something from an early 2000s video game.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to hear Curt's view on this.
Yeah, let's hear from Curt. I mean, he's the celebratory champion over here.
Why are you in here for me so bad? Just because I like the ride?
I mean, you encouraged her to go.
I like the ride personally. I go on it every single time I go. I'm in that 37%.
Mm-hmm.
But I have only done the orange side. I have never done the green.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the intense. I like the G-force. I find it fun, especially the first liftoff, where I feel like the G-force is the most intense. It's just that feeling of all those G's. Now, I did make the mistake of going on it 3 times in one day, and I would not recommend doing that because I was actually getting a headache and everything out after the end of that. Probably shouldn't do that, but I mean, you got to go on it at least once.
But definitely a part of your trip, right?
Oh, totally. I've gone to Disney World 3 times. I've gone on that ride each time I've gone.
So, and I'll say this, when it comes down to it, I mean, this is always something that I go on too. I mean, it's not, I think if I was to like weigh it against, spending time doing other things, I might consider ditching it, but I feel like this is a part of the Epcot experience. Should it be better? Yeah, it absolutely should, especially for the nod to space at a place like Epcot, and to replace something as so beloved as Horizons. It did open in 2003, and certainly is something that, as I had mentioned, has gone through a few iterations, and most recently having transitioned from Lieutenant Dan to sort of the new cast of characters that run it. But Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump, funny, interesting story. Back at the Disneyland Hotel when I worked there, I remember getting called up one time to escort a VIP from the Disneyland Hotel over to the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, and zipped on over with my golf cart. One of the leaders there said, "Hey, these two need to get over to the Grand. Would we be able to take them?" I said, "Absolutely." They hopped on the back. As I'm driving, I looked up in my rearview mirror, and I was taking them from the Disneyland Hotel that was hosting an event that night that was kind of for wounded warriors. It was a big military function, and I saw a Navy admiral sitting just behind me, and then next to him was Gary Sinise. And as we're zipping along, I hear Gary Sinise point out downtown Disney as we drive, and he says, I haven't gotten to, or I haven't been able to get over there this trip. And I said, downtown Disney in Walt Disney World, as it was still downtown Disney at the time, it's like 3 times the size of this one, and it's gigantic. There's so much to do there. And he says, "Oh yeah." And I said, "You gentlemen ever get to Walt Disney World?" And the Admiral said, "Not as much as I'd like." And Gary Sinise says, "Yeah, I go out there usually once a year, if not a few more times." And I said, "Oh, that's fantastic." And looking at him in the rearview mirror, and of course I know who he is. Of course, everybody knows Lieutenant Dan, right? Everybody knows Gary Sinise. And I said, "That's how I know you." And he goes, "Oh, huh? Yeah, you recognize me, huh? It's, yeah, what do you think?" And I said, "You're Capcom on Mission Space at Epcot. That's who you are." And he goes, "Huh?" And like the Admiral had no idea what I was talking about. And he goes, "Yeah, honestly, in all my years, I've never been recognized for that. I got to say, that's interesting." And I said, "Yeah," I was like, "That's who you are." Of course, I shared with him, "I know exactly who you are, Mr. Sinise." And I said, when it comes to that ride, I was like, "Isn't that cool to be sort of immortalized?" Didn't know he was going to be, recast a couple years later. But I said, "Isn't that nice to be immortalized in an attraction?" And you know what his reaction was? He said, "A kid died on that ride. I don't even go on it." That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't even go on it." I'm like, "That's your ride." And he said, "Yeah, no." He goes, "Once I heard a kid died on it, I just stopped going." And I was like, "Wait, you go to Walt Disney World once a year, if not more. You don't even go on your own attraction?" And he said, No, I stopped a long time ago." Oh my gosh.
So everybody, you heard it here first from Capcom himself.
Right.
Do not go on that ride.
Don't even get on it. Yeah. Unbelievable.
To make it fair, Johnny Depp, he goes on Pirates of the Caribbean, but you don't see actual people stabbing each other. Like, it's kind of different. Like, I don't know. Pirates of the Caribbean had actual fire and sword fighting, I probably would avoid that too.
Really?
Yeah. Our sweet
That sounds exciting.
Maybe have to have a lot of turnover.
pillage and looting.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, so that sounds like there are 3 ditchets and there are 2 duets. Looks like the ditchets have it, along with the majority of the audience. That also says this attraction is not worth your EPCOT time. So now you know when it comes to mission space at EPCOT, not worth it, says the audience and the panel. Certainly something to think about on your next Disney vacation. Stick around. More Kingdom Report Live for you next.
Hey, Kingdom Team, do you need more magic in your life? We understand, which is why we connect you to more of what makes you happy 3 times a week. Catch our theme park coverage, vlogs, and reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And experience the Kingdom Report Live, streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. That's new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, crafted with you in mind. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications at The Kingdom Report on YouTube. And catch every update throughout the week at Kingdom Report Live on social media. See you there!
A live look outside at the Disneyland Resort in beautiful Anaheim, California, the shutdown Disneyland Resort. We get a bird's eye view here from the Mattercam atop the Howard Johnson Hotel as we see the Grand Californian in the distance, Paradise Pier Hotel, and then, of course, Space Mountain right up front. So cool to be able to have this bird's eye view of the resort, especially in shutdown mode. Well, that about wraps things up for us here at the Kingdom Report. Tyler, Katrina, anything that we need to be aware of? I know attractionfaction.net kind of in a holding pattern right now, given the state of the world. If we follow you on social media, is that worth it, do you think?
I mean, he is doing Animal Crossing, so you can catch up with him on his Twitter.
Yeah, it's 100% worth it to follow me on social media. You have to come and see.
I'm just taking pictures of my cat.
You know, we got nothing going on. So all you can do is just be, be creative and come up with fun things to do for yourself and honestly,
keep active.
Yeah. So just this Animal Crossing stuff, it's been a nice little creative outlet to try and just bring a little bit of Disney into my life. I made Andy's wallpaper, like I said last week, and I got a Mickey Mouse painting in my room that I put together. And just, it's like the fun little things that I've been trying to do to stay sane. So just come along and see those adventures and you will enjoy them too, I think.
Well, I fully expect both of you, much like we've been seeing from different people across the country, I fully expect to see a full-blown recreation of some sort of ride in your home by the end of this week. What do you think?
Run?
Do that.
So
be probably pretty easy, right? Real simple, boring, and to the point. Yeah,
that's exactly how that ride is.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 best ways to describe that ride.
I like that idea. Absolutely. Gared, any parting thoughts before we take off?
Yeah, just to everyone out there, stay safe, stay sane, and I try and live life like Gaston every single day. So if you're bored at home, do some at-home workouts. All you need is a floor to do push-ups, sit-ups, and crunches and all that. So my whole thing is stay active. Like if you have all this time now, might as well use it. Change yourself for the better. Read books, or you can be also like me, playing a lot of video games because I don't get that chance very often. So been gaming it up.
It's video game
playing
time.
Kingdom Hearts 3 over again.
Oh, I love the sound of that. Gared, is that a bed behind you?
Yeah, I'm in Ariel's room.
Can you do me a favor?
Slow motion jump on it?
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask outright, but I was going to say, can you do me a favor and show me what it would be like if one did bounce on a bed, if someone did jump up and down? I don't know.
Yep. Okay.
He's gonna get a concussion.
Ariel,
He's too tall.
She's gonna come barging in if she's watching. Wow, with style.
Wow, okay.
Hello.
With
the
class.
Oddest jumping I've ever seen in my life.
If I jump too high, the hat would fly off. I would get a haircut, and it just would not look good. Ariel's told me that I'm not allowed to cut my hair because if it's too short, it just doesn't work. It's the whole coif thing. It's my
That's
thing.
true love right there, telling you not
Girl,
to do
she
things.
knows.
Yeah.
He's trying to protect you. You gotta have that coif.
Well,
Yes.
thanks for doing
And then
that
you
for
gotta
us.
do the-
Meant everything. Absolutely. As
It-
we're
it
all
is-
quarantined.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, as we're all quarantined, there's nothing more special than seeing somebody jumping on a bed, because that's about the extent of our activities nowadays, right? So, at any rate, thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. As a reminder, if you're somebody that has the means to do so, if you're somebody that has the resources to do so, contribute to your local stores, your local restaurants as much as possible. As of right now, obviously, we have surging 3+ million people filing for unemployment. Things are changing so rapidly. If you're somebody that does have the luxury, I should say, of still having a job, does have the ability to still work from home and have a nice income, remember there are a lot of people that could definitely benefit from your dollars and your cents. So make sure that you are contributing to your local economy as much as possible. Never in my life have I felt more sort of invested in my local economy than I am right now, knowing that every dollar that I'm spending really does matter in keeping doors open, in keeping people employed. I've never felt that until this very moment in time. So keep that in mind as you go about your day. If you're somebody that has the means to do so, make sure that you're taking care of those around you and your neighbors. It's important. Remember, the legacy of Walt Disney only lives on because of people like you and I. We will see you right back here next week for an all-new Kingdom Report Live, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Hey, we'll see you next Saturday.